What's up, everybody? I just had a conversation with a large sales organization that leverages Smartlead, and they had reached out to me to get some feedback on how they can automate their internal processes. And this is what we worked through together on that call. And I want to share it with anyone else who might be in a similar situation. So, to give you some background, they have a team of SDRs, around 6 SDRs, and they have an internal campaign manager. And so this campaign manager creates the Smart Lead campaigns, adds the campaigns and the copy to Smart Lead, sends the emails, and then they get replies into the inbox. And then this is where the SDRs come in. So there's going to be a bunch of replies coming through in the inbox, and basically they need help giving all of these leads to the SDRs, holding the SDRs accountable, and then converting these positive replies into booked meetings and eventually turn them into uh, calls for the account executive and so on and so forth, right? So let's get into the first thing. The first thing is they have a large team of SDRs. And so the first thing you want to do, if that is your situation, you want to add your team members into the Smart Lead account. And so we've got the team members section, we've got the email, the full name. You want to add them to the Smart Lead account. Now, the challenge with that is that there's no custom fields. And so these custom fields are going to come into play later on, and let me explain to you what those custom fields are. The first custom field is time zone slash location. Another custom field is going to be um, positive replies assigned in the past 30 days or something of that nature, right? And so what these custom fields are going to help us do is determine which SDR is given which lead. And so back to the document, the first thing I told them is that we want to add the custom fields in a document. So this could be a Google Sheets, this could be a project management tool like I use, which is ClickUp, where we add all the custom fields. It could be an HR software that you guys use to track all of your employees. Anything, right? You just want to make sure that those SDRs were tracking those key custom fields. Next thing, we want to assign the replies to the SDRs in a round robin fashion. And this round robin fashion would look something like this. So we've got an SDR in Australia, we've got another SDR in the US, and we get a reply at 2 p.m. CST. And so that's going to be very early for the Australian person, and it's going to be the perfect time for the US person. And so another custom field that I just thought about is work hours. So the SDRs get to choose their work hours. And so if the SDR works very early hours, then the Australia person is eligible and the US person is also eligible. But if that's not the case and it's still too early for the Australian person, then what that means is that the lead would automatically get assigned to the US person. Now, what if there's two US people and a lead comes through at perfect time? What that means is that we're going to be analyzing the 7, 14, 30-day stats to determine which SDR has been getting assigned the most leads. And depending on that factor, we're going to transfer it over to an SDR who has not received as many leads. And that whole complex system, actually, complex is not the right word. It's actually super simple to do, but that's what you would need to do. You would need to set up a round robin scenario unique to your particular needs. And maybe you might even want to make it a, um, a performance based round robin, right? Where the SDR that's responding to the leads the fastest is going to be getting the most amount of leads. So that's an example, right? Like you could do anything. So next thing we want to do, we want to track response times, because what this is all about is accountability, because this is an organization, they're working with 6 SDRs. They want to keep those SDRs accountable. And so the best way to keep those SDRs accountable is probably response times and also their conversion from reply to meeting booked or close or whatever, right? But response time is one of them. So assuming you did the round robin right, you gave them leads in their actual work hours. You didn't give them leads on their break time. And now what you need to do is track the response time. And there's many ways to do that, but we don't have an infinite amount of time. Um, but one of the things that you can do, I'll make a video on this. I'll make a video on this. If you're watching this a few months from now and I've not made that video, just message me on LinkedIn. I'll make a video on this though. Okay, so next thing is categorization. So categorization, this is going to come into play like a lot because all of the analytics, everything is mostly going to come down to the categorization. So let's look into this, right? So one, we've got a lead over here. So human is an example, and we've assigned them to a client. We've got a campaign over here. This is all like an automation that I'll actually just pull up here so that you guys can see that. You're probably going to want to set up this automation as well. You don't have clients, um, but you're going to want to have campaigns. You're going to want to have the categories. And so what this means is that when a lead category is updated from our HubSpot account, Pipedrive, Salesforce, whatever, whenever the lead category is updated here, we also want to make sure that that's also updated inside Smartlead. And it's a simple automation that you would be setting up. And I think I've got it here. It's like a two-way sync or something like that. Um, Actually, I'm not remembering what it was called. But this is the other one, right? But like it's a simple automation. It's a simple, and we also don't even have the time to go deep into it. But that's one of the automations that you would want to set up. Next thing you would want to do is have um, all of those. Yeah, so these are all the categories. You want to have all of the campaigns inside your Smart Lead account. So this is the categories. Let's go to the campaigns. So we've got campaigns. All of these are over here, right? So you basically just want to have all of these fields so that you can easily assign them over to leads. And in fact, I'll show you what that looks like when you assign leads over to these categories. So we go contacts, Afonto, and we can see that all of these leads over here are assigned to the client Afonto with this campaign over here. You can also add an additional thing where we are checking for the user. So who's the owner of this lead? So we've got all of that. Let me breeze past this. So this is a HubSpot two-way sync. We get all of the lead categories or all of the campaigns or all of the clients. It's the same thing, right? You get all of that. You iterate through all of that. You use the HubSpot to find the property name, get all of the properties, iterate through all of the properties, aggregate all of that information into a large JSON text, add the new category into a set variable field so that we take all of the new categories that don't exist and add them with all of the categories that already do exist, that type of thing. And then you use this URL endpoint over here to add the leads to HubSpot. And obviously, this is for contacts. You can do deals, you can do companies, all of that stuff. And by the way, this is categories. You probably don't even need to automate it because it's super, super simple. But like as you can see, the campaigns are always going up and down. So you definitely want to update that. Like my lead categories do not change like very often. So once you've set that up, you could probably just like, you know, um, manually write them over. So next thing over here is so the next thing over here is tracking the categorization history. So if a lead comes through, it's categorized as meeting request, and then they don't book a meeting, we want to keep track of that. If a category is not interested, and then eventually it goes into a meeting booked, we want to keep track of that and reward our SDRs for that type of stuff. And there's many ways to actually track the categorization history. One of the ways is that's the simplest is just using like HubSpot, right? Because HubSpot does allow you to have these comprehensive reports that track the history of things, right? And so you can actually use a HubSpot report, a Salesforce report to track something like that. More categories for data tracking, boom, 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 boom. Next thing is, again, we are tracking the response times. Therefore, we need to empower our SDRs to actually respond to leads on time because we can't just tell people to do that and then not not have it be reasonable, right? So we want to actually notify them. And there's many ways to do this. One, Smartlead is coming out with a mobile app in the coming weeks. So there's going to be push notifications. That's going to be one of the ways. Another thing is a notification um, no automation inside Slack. And on my website, afonso.com/automations, I've got a bunch of automations. That is one of them. Notification for replies. If you're not an agency, you would just use this simple one. And then you want to speed up the research of you want to speed up the time that it takes for them to research the leads. And so what that actually means, let me see, befree.io. I've got I've got I'm going to show you a few things that you can consider. So back to so we've got that covered. All right, we're going to come back to that. Actually, let's just do it right now. So edit email. So this is an example of a notification. If you're using Slack, if you're using any other tools, just think about it in that way, right? And so right here, we sent them the name, we sent the company, we sent the mobile number, we sent the email. If we wanted to empower our SDRs to reply as quickly as possible, we might want to add the LinkedIn profile over here. We might want to add the LinkedIn company description. We might want to leverage Clay to search for any recent news or anything that's relevant to having a good reply towards that client. And so you want to just add all of that information in the notification for the SDR. And on that point, with regards to assigning the notifications over to the SDRs, we've got a Google Sheets document over here. As I did mention, you can use um, ClickUp, you can use HR tools, you can use anything really, but you want to have all of that. So this is going to be an SDR database. And then I'm using ChatGPT for the round robin determination. But to be honest, you don't need ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just like the quick solution. You don't want to think about anything. You just be like, yo, ChatGPT, look at all of these times. Who's the best person to reach out to? But you can actually be more complex. But we got 2 minutes. So let me move on. Cool. So notification for replies, main reply, thread reply, speed of research before reply. This middle layer would probably be Clay, as I did mention, and then you would have all of that inside the notification for the SDR, and then, or you could just send the information. Last thing, CRM tasks. So when a lead replies, you've assigned it to the correct SDR, they have been notified, and they reply or whatever. You want to assign them tasks inside your CRM. And so inside the CRM, we go back to the reports over here. Um, we can get assigned tasks, and we can track how many calls they're making, how quickly they're finishing their tasks, how many meetings are being booked from that. And finally, you can also just use the HubSpot integration within Smartlead. And so we've got a campaign over here. When we enter the campaign, we can actually start to use HubSpot. So do you want to enable the HubSpot integration? Yes. And so create deals when a lead is marked as interested, right? And then you choose a HubSpot deal. I'm going to do meeting booked, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you save it to HubSpot and you add that information there. And by the way, last thing over here, you can also track when the deals. All right, we got 30 seconds. I'm being quick, hey. So this is an example of what it looks like, right? When that happens, you get all of the conversations. You can reply directly from your HubSpot account. Sometimes they're logged like this. If you guys want a deeper HubSpot integration video, let me know. But here's a quick solution. If you just want to get started, you don't want to do any of that stuff. It seems too complex. Just set up a notification for email replies, assign it to the lead, to the SDRs, just like how I showed you. Figure out a round robin logic to assign the leads over, and then simply have a two-way sync of all the smart lead categories with your CRM. And one last point, inside the master inbox, you can add different views, and you're not actually able to see that. But anyways, you can assign the views to a team member. So boom, that's everything. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Cheers.